everyone, and welcome. Welcome, Jennifer, the amazing creator of Tarot Disassembled. I have the black box. Do you have a yellow box handy to show off?
Yes. Let's see here. Here is, whoops.
Everything comes
Here's
from
the yellow box.
Yes, so the deck comes in two different boxes, which I love.
Yep.
And we have our first comment here is from Blue Crescent Tarot, my friend Deanne. Hello, excited to hear about this beautiful deck. I've been avoiding walkthroughs because I know I love it and I can't have it right now.
Oh, I feel you. I've got a deck addiction, so I feel you. I have a budget that doesn't really ever seem to stay within a budget as far as how many decks I buy.
We always go over the budget, don't we?
Definitely.
Hi, Debbie. So welcome to everyone coming in. So this is an independent deck. You started it through Kickstarter, is that correct?
I did a Kickstarter. It was my first Kickstarter that I've ever done, which was wild.
It was wild.
Yeah, it was wild. Yeah. I was just hoping to get it funded. I was like, okay, hopefully I can get this funded in the 30 days. That was my only goal. And then it got funded in the first day, and then it went, way beyond my expectations. So that's been almost a year, and I still walk around a little bit like, what? That was so
Did that really happen?
Yeah. I'm so thankful for it, but it was wild.
Yes. Well, I ended up getting it through your Etsy shop when, I'm trying to remember, I think you had posted about a sale in like Tarot Marketplace or something like that.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. On Facebook. That's right.
On Facebook, right. And I was like, what? There's a sale? I'm jumping on that.
Right. Thank you for getting the deck. I appreciate that.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, aloha, Gerald of Tarot Stash. Howdy. This is on my list of decks for upcoming deck casuals.
Yay.
Yes, I love Gerald deck casuals because he gets together with other people in the community and they chat about decks.
Right. I've watched a few of them. Yeah.
This is the backs. Mm-hmm. And the sides are all orange. Is that right?
It's kind of a reddish orange. It was kind of meant to be more red, but it turned a little orange. But it's okay. It still kind of keeps
It's still pretty and still totally goes with the
it still has the
amazing colors. Yeah. I mean, one thing that really struck me when I was going through this deck was just how colorful it is. There's so much vibrant coloration in here. I mean, the Fool by itself, right? But then you get the Magician, very green. Of course, I had to put it all in order before we went live.
You're not a Virgo by chance, are you?
Hmm?
You're not a Virgo by chance, are you?
Yes, I am.
Are you? Oh, me too. Holla. Because I was going to say that sounds like a very Virgo thing to do as a Virgo.
When's your birthday?
August 25th.
Coming up.
Yeah.
I'm September 7th.
So you're like
dab in the middle of Virgo.
Yeah, you're a later Virgo. I'm like early Virgo, kind of on that cusp. Yeah.
I'm a September Virgo.
Yeah.
Although if you look at Vedic medicine, we're Leos apparently.
That's right. I'd had my Vedic chart done, and I was like, I'm a Leo. I was really excited for some reason. I don't want debating on my sign, but sometimes when you see the memes and stuff, and like Virgos are always like they're made out to be boring or like wait, so I'm like, I'm not boring. I'm not boring. So
you have to think about the whole chart. It's not just the sun sign. That's just part of it, right? True. Like for me, I'm a Virgo sun, Libra moon, Taurus rising. So
right. So you've got
I'm grounded, but I still get those airy thoughts. So.
Yeah.
By the way, Gerald says that he will invite you to join them.
Oh, I would love that, Gerald. Please do. I'd be so excited. Thank you.
Oh, and this is Beth, Aspasia Raising. She and I have the same birthday.
Oh, that's awesome. Another Virgo.
Virgo's in the house.
Yeah.
And speaking of Leos, hello, Kim of Abundant Life Tarot.
I've got Leo rising, so I've got the Leo in there in my top 3. I've got Leo rising and Sagittarius moon. So
the if you look at regular Western astrology, my Leo is in Venus. So. Cool.
Ooh. Ooh la la.
Cool. So, for those of you who don't know about the Tarot Disassembled, could you give them a quick little like breakdown of how you see the deck and how you see it being used?
Yeah, sure. So this deck was inspired by my son, who's 11, and since the time he was little, takes everything apart, like everything. And my husband's a software programmer and always has weird computer parts around the house. So he's actually taught him from a young age in a safe environment to like literally like take apart old computers and be like, what's this inside? So
Wow.
he kind of inspired me in that idea of how you take things apart to learn. And so that's kind of where the seed of the idea was born from. And I'm a graphic designer by profession. That's been my career for most of my life. And so I tend to think very, sometimes very flat graphic wise and very iconography, logo design-esque, if that makes sense. And
Right.
so it all just kind of came together like that. But for me, it was about stripping away the pictorial narrative and
Right.
which don't get me wrong, I love. I mean, I'm a Rider-Waite-Smith, gal all the way. I've been, working with that deck since the 90s. And I love what Pamela Coleman Smith did with all those pictorials. And it's fascinating seeing it reinterpreted in modern decks. But sometimes you get so lost in that narrative and you maybe don't even see yourself in that narrative for what, whether it's for, your ethnicity or your gender, or depending on what deck you're working with, sometimes it's hard to even find yourself in those scenes. And so to me, pulling the symbols out had a kind of a different meaning and kind of had a different depth to it. So as far as working with it, I just kind of went with it as far as like, once I had the idea, I just kind of rolled with it. But a lot of people have mentioned, it can kind of work as a good learning deck if you want to learn some of those traditional symbols and that, and the individual things. And I think also there's value in some cards. There's these little bitty symbols because obviously, we're working with these cards that, Pamela Coleman Smith originally did from the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot. And, some of the things in there are so tiny. It's so easy to overlook. Like the Nine of Pentacles is a good one, just as an example. The Nine of Pentacles, where there's that little bitty snail, it's big on the card. It's like, and it's it's so easy to miss. And so I liked playing with.
One of the things I look for in every time I get a new deck is, does the Nine of Pentacles have a snail in it? And here, you made the snail nice and big.
Yeah, nice and big, so you don't miss it. So I had fun with the proportions of things too, and not having to worry about if they fit into a pictorial narrative, because I could make one object super big, and if that wouldn't make sense in a scene.
One thing I've noticed using the deck myself for readings, I have been using it to give readings, is that I notice now more often when like you get more of one symbol, like
yes,
and then for some reason those symbols like really almost take on a greater meaning because they show up more than once.
That's
right?
that's so true. That's so true. And I have always felt like my spirit guides and things, I feel like that's the language I've always worked with from the time I was small, is symbols and seeing symbols in the wild, if you will, like spotting
Right.
and like in weird places and feeling like that's a little direct message. And you have those days, tarot or not, you have those days where you'll be like, I'm seeing like bears like everywhere I go, and you're like, okay, I'm getting some kind of download, I'm getting some kind of message that's hitting me over the head, and just in case I'm too clueless,
not paying attention.
yeah, in case I'm not paying attention or I'm distracted. And I love that kind of visual communication, and it's so true in the tarot. So when you can really notice when you start seeing a symbol showing up in multiple cards, and then it's like, ooh, okay, that symbol's got some meaning for me right now.
Right. Oops.
I dig that.
Temperance. Yeah, for sure. I mean, speaking of symbols hitting you over the head, when we were thinking about moving to Maui, it was ridiculous, the symbolism that kept showing up. Like I'd stop in an ATM and the big ad next to the ATM is save now for your Hawaiian vacation. And then every time I'd get cut off, the person who cut me off had like some Hawaiian sticker on their car or something. And it just like, it was over and over and over for months. It was just like, okay, we're going. We're
It's
gonna
like,
go.
I get it.
We get it. Stop hitting us over the heads already.
Right. I love that. I love that kind of, hitting you over the head with it. I love that kind of symbolism.
Symbol. Yeah, this is the thing I really like about it is because it really does. It breaks it down to just the symbols.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come up with the name Tarot Disassembled instead of like Tarot Symbols or something?
I actually wanted a different name first. I wanted Tarot Deconstructed, just FYI.
Okay, that was the other one that popped in my head. Was
Tarot and but I'm definitely one of those people that's going to research. Virgo. Hello, I'm going to research anything I do to the nth degree, and so I'm like, does that name exist? Does it exist in any form? And I actually found a deck. I think it was called Tarot Deconstructed. It didn't have the same kind of concept, but they were using that name. And I just didn't want to infringe, on somebody else's turf if they'd already kind of claimed that name. So the Disassembled felt like the next best way to describe what I was trying to convey, that kind of idea of taking apart and disassembling something.
I could almost see it being called the symbolic tarot too.
Well, interestingly, I'm working on, and I haven't really announced this much yet, but I'm working on like a sister deck to it.
Oh.
Going to have that will act more as a kind of like an oracle because it'll have the individual symbols on cards. So like there'll be like the apple card, there'll be the dog card, kind of symbols from the tarot. And I was thinking about how that could be, well, I've already done Tarot Disassembled. Maybe it should be Tarot Symbol. I don't know that's probably not going to be the name, but I was thinking about, because now it's even breaking down into the individual symbols even more.
Right.
So
Tarot symbology or no?
Yeah, symbology or I'll have to think of a clever name.
See, there's the cape again. It shows up in the 2 wands and the 3 wands, right?
That's right. That cloak, yeah.
So that, like I said, that fact that the symbols keep showing up in readings, and like I've given multiple readings now where it's like that the multiple symbols jump out at me so strongly, more than any other deck.
Right. I love hearing that. Yeah. I love that.
And then it really kind of like helps tune me in a different way. I mean, I definitely feel like I give different readings with this deck than any other deck.
That's cool to hear. I like that. Yeah, and it's funny how even if you don't get one repetitively, you'll kind of still pull a card. Like even if you just do like a daily draw, like for me, I'll be like, there's like one symbol drawing my eye the most that day. And so that's almost like I can really, nerd out and focus on study of that one symbol. Nerd out's a big deal. Like I like to nerd out on anything. So and go down like this.
You and me both. I love to nerd out all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Joseph. IT guy says, so interesting the way the symbols are laid out. Really nice change.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I love, like I said, the colors, especially when you're like laying out cards in the spread and seeing the different colors. Do you have a particular like system for the background colors, or is it?
So yeah, that's an interesting question. So basically, I started with. So yes and no, I do. Like, so it's not a hard structure, but it's a little more organic, but I started with the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot as like an inspiration for a color palette. And like some of those colors are very, that like orangey yellow, that gray, that, some of those are very used throughout like the original Rider-Waite-Smith. So I started with kind of what colors were prominent in the original Rider-Waite-Smith. And then I started kind of, making little tweaks. Like I'm like, I don't really want anything too dark or heavy other than like that dark, like almost black. Because you do need like at least one really kind of darker energy kind of color for some of those cards just to have that meaning come
Definitely.
But I definitely kind of took my palette and tweaked it. Like I have kind of this aqua blue that's not very prevalent in the Rider-Waite-Smith.
I love that aqua blue, by the way.
That's one of my favorite colors. Yeah. And then I kind of made choices. Like there's some cards, if you were to lay them out side by side, like a couple of those aces for sure, if you were to lay them side by side with the Rider-Waite-Smith counterpart, they would look very similar with that, like a gray background and very similar. And then there's some where I departed completely. Like the Empress, I did this like lime green kind of background, which is definitely not the coloring in the original Rider-Waite-Smith, but it felt very lush and, like all that kind of earthly greenery abundance of the Empress. So it felt organically right to me once I had that established palette.
Just the symbolism, just like, I think just getting rid of the picture and having just symbols, it opens it up in a way that I've never seen before.
Right. Thank you. I saw somebody said Virgos are nerds.
Yeah, I just was about to highlight that, Beth. Virgos are nerds, endearing and annoying.
Yeah. Nerd out. Love it.
Aloha, Betsy. Welcome. Can't stay. Oh, that's okay. You can always watch back. Yeah, this deck, and here's that dark color for the 5 of Cups, which is, I've noticed there's definitely like the negative cards have a dark background, which.
Yeah, I don't mean for them to even be negative, but just, they're kind of heavy. They just are
the heavy cards.
Dense energy, so it felt right. I actually, and it's funny because a lot of people, like when you talk about the black box, technically, again, getting all Virgo nerded out here, technically there are no solid blacks in my deck. It's like a 93% dark gray. So like 3% black, because in my mind, there was this idea that not even like the shadow work is not truly without light, like there's like nothing
still a hint
darker or light. So it definitely reads almost black, but it's really a very dark gray.
Just a very dark gray.
Yeah, we're gonna get nerdy about it.
That's the same color as the backs, right?
That's right.
You look at this 7 of Cups, it's just like, it's all there. Everything about the 7 of Cups is right there, and it's amazing. Yeah. There's that teal color, right?
I love that color, just in general in life.
Yeah, I see that color all the time, obviously.
Yeah, see, you get it.
Well, I live somewhere where it's like, you go look at the sky, the ocean, it all is that color.
Yeah, and when are you going to start doing your lives like in person? I think we need to have like some kind of system where you fly people out to Maui, I'm like, I want to fly from Maui.
Once I get like, that 10,000 subscriber mark and I'm making money off the channel, maybe I could then reinvest back into bringing people out here. Yeah, I do have a guest room after all.
See? We'll have to work on
we could do our chats out by the pool.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
The problem is the waterfall might drown us out, so we'd have to have mics.
We have like a pool with a waterfall. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
I mean, it's not like a swimming pool. It's more of a soaking pool, but
Oh, sure. I've got a weed in my backyard right now that is the size of a tree, so that's cool.
We technically don't have much yard space, but even though we don't have much yard space, we have this grand open view because on one side of us is the HOA's park, and on the other is a 17-acre mango orchard with screaming peacocks and everything.
Screaming peacocks, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing until you're like upstairs getting dressed and you hear a honk honk and you turn around, there's a bunch of peacocks peering in at you watching you get dressed. I didn't know they were peeping toms. They love to come up on the roof and just like stare through the window at us. Like, right. What are you doing?
That's hilarious.
They're so funny.
Definitely no peacocks in Colorado wandering around that I'm aware of.
Well, it's part of the orchard. Like, even though it's 17 acres and it's mostly mango, where we are, there is no mango. There's the spot where they grow their dragon fruits. And then there's like dirt, and then there's like these ancient train cars that I guess used to be used back in the day to like take all the mangoes down to the pier that doesn't exist anymore. And like, yeah. Because most of this area back in like the 30s, when the town there was no town here until like the 1930s,
right?
And then they brought in like it was mango orchards. They grew a lot of mangoes, and this is like the last real orchard that's left in the area.
Wow.
But their family has had this land for generations, and they used to ship mangoes all over the world. And there was a dock where the train used to go. They'd fill up the cars with mangoes. The train would go down, put them all in the boat, and then the boat would go off and drop them off all over the world. So,
that's really cool. Do you like mangoes? Hopefully.
oh, I love mangoes.
I was gonna say, who doesn't like mangoes? They're amazing.
There's people I know who hate mangoes.
They don't.
It's rare,
That's
but
not right there. I'm just kidding. Not trying to shame anybody for their taste, but mangoes are amazing.
I will say, when I was a kid, we had a property down in Costa Rica, and pretty much every winter and summer we were down there. And then for like 3 or 4 years, it was 6 months, and then for 1 full year we were down there.
Wow.
And I got so sick of avocado, because we had like this 50-foot avocado tree that when it was avocado season, it was like producing hundreds of avocados.
Wow.
And like, even though I was like selling it to like random people who were coming by looking to buy the avocados, like we still had like more avocados than we knew what to do with.
Right.
My mom would make like avocado soup and avocado pie and guacamole on the side, and it's just like avocado everything. I got so much, I just couldn't even look at avocados without feeling sick.
Too much.
I'm finally over it. I love my avocados again, but it took several years.
Yeah.
So yeah, anybody can get sick of anything if you overdo it, right?
That's true. Yep, that's true. Yep.
And it makes people sad. The colors are so vibrant. They just really pop.
Thank you.
And for those of you who are wondering, these are rose petal finish.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like the usual rose petal that tends to clump. I find that this deck doesn't really clump.
Yeah, it's interesting that the rose petal finish can be kind of polarizing. I've found that some people really don't like, because it just maybe doesn't shuffle quite as smoothly. It's like a linen or something like that. But
right. Well, I find that
feel though.
There's certain ones that really do. They just clump. The rose petal finish acts almost like a Velcro between the cards.
Right.
That's when they put too much of it on. Whereas this deck, I find like I have no issue shuffling it. Even overhand, I don't really get that kind of clumping you get with a lot of rose petal. So I feel like it's like just the right amount to get the texture without getting that stickiness.
Right.
So,
Gerald,
but I know that there's some people who don't even like the texture on their hands.
Yeah, I guess I know everybody's different in that way. I love the way it feels personally, but Gerald asked, are there mangoes in the tarot disassembled? No, there are no mangoes. There's pumpkins and oranges.
There are definitely a lot of pumpkins. I love the pumpkin. There was one reading where like there was like 3 pumpkins staring at me. I'm like, okay, what's up about pumpkins?
Right.
Yeah, it turns out their birthday's in October.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, one of my neighbors who we kind of geek out on tarot together. Her birthday is October 31st.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
So,
best day of the year to have a birthday.
We always go to their house for Halloween. Right. Well, what it is, okay, so she and her husband live on one side of the street, and then her sister with her husband and her 2 kids live on the other side of the street. And so that little family kind of adopted us as part of their family. And because my son and the sister's son are like that, like besties.
Oh, sweet.
So we always go to the sister's house for Halloween. They set up like this huge haunted house, and we all just like sit out in the front watching everybody walk by. And yeah,
that's awesome.
It's a lot of fun. The other one that jumped out at me in a reading was the Band-Aid.
Oh yeah, that was kind of my way to do a bandage, by itself. I mean, it's a little bit more modern, but when they have like their head wrapped or something like that.
Well, no, but during a reading I had that bandage symbol show up like on multiple cards, and I started talking to the person a little bit like, are you feeling really injured right now? And they just broke down. They're like, oh my God, how did you know?
Aww.
I'm like, there's band-aids all over all the cards. The cards are just telling me that you are feeling hurt right now and you need healing time. And
Right.
yeah, that person ended up giving me a huge hug after the reading.
Oh, that's sweet. I love that. Gerald asked, was there a favorite card or suit you enjoyed working on the most?
Ooh,
that's a good question.
Yeah,
I probably the Fool.
Yeah, if anyone has any other questions, throw it up. I can put them up for you.
Yeah, I would say the Fool, probably just because that's my jam. That's like my favorite card in general in tarot is the Fool, and it's like the one I started with, where I first started working out the idea. So in some ways that's my baby of this deck, is the one that I first really played with a lot. And it took a while to feel like I got something that felt right to me. But so I think that was probably the one I really enjoyed working on the most. Although they're all my loves.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know about suit. That's an interesting question. I don't know if there was a suit I enjoyed the most. I struggled for some reason with some of the swords, and that's probably reflective of me in some way, I'm sure. But I struggled with those for some reason, came a little slower than some of the other suits. So definitely probably not my most enjoyed suit, but I'm not sure. I really don't even know why. It was just one that I really kind of struggled to make it where they wouldn't feel quite right, and I'd have to kind of rework it, and I'd be like, okay, it starts to feel better. But
maybe it's more of an internal thing.
Yeah, I don't know what that says about me, since the suits, it's the suit of the mental realm, or I don't know. I'm not sure. My personal favorite suit in general tends to be wands. I love the good fieriness of the wand.
Fire. Do you have a lack of fire in your chart?
No, I actually have a ton of fire in my chart. And I think that was very exciting when I first got my chart done, like the full chart, because I was always like, I don't feel like a Virgo. And now I realize, the older I get, that I am very much a Virgo. But in some ways, I rebelled against my Virgo-ness for a lot of my life. Like, I'm like, I like fly by the seat of my pants. I don't plan things. I'm not very organized. And then I realized there's areas of my life where I'm painfully meticulous and organized. So it's more that it manifests in different ways. But when I found I had lots of fire, for some reason that satisfied something in me, where I'm like, that's right. I got fire in here. That's where that's more.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah, I got some fire in here.
So when I did my chart, the thing that really jumped out at me is how many signs are in Libra.
Right.
So many signs in Libra. It's ridiculous.
Libras are so lovely, though. Like, I mean, I feel like some of my favorite people are Libras. It's such a lovely energy usually.
True. It's just, for me, it's like it causes a lot of indecisiveness. Like, I want to make a decision, and I ask people like their opinion, but then the Taurus rising like gets in, I get bullheaded about making a decision. I have to make my own decision, even though you're giving me advice.
Right.
But then I can't make the decision because I'm still trying to balance it all out. Yeah.
So they almost clash a little bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Gerald asks, what card was the most challenging?
The Lovers was the most challenging.
Lovers.
And again, it's one of those, I don't know why. Like every time I would start a new card, I would kind of first, get all the little icons. If I'd already used them on another card, sometimes I could recycle an icon if it was a symbol that reappeared. But I would kind of gather all my little symbols and then start just playing with the layout. And some of them would really feel like they kind of looked right early, and then some I had to kind of rework and reposition. And I still don't know if I love the Lovers card. I think, I'm okay with it, but I don't know. That was a tricky one for some reason for me.
That was a tricky one for you. Yeah. So Beth is asking, would you mind showing all 4 knights and all 4 queens? Okay, let's do the knights first. I love how the knights are almost all the same color, but just variations of the color.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. How am I going to do this? Okay. So here are the knights. Here, you know what? Just to make it a little easier on myself, I'm going to embiggen me. There we go. That way I can have them all up at the same time. There's the knights. They're all very orangey and fiery. And then the queens.
Yeah, they definitely look a lot more different altogether than the knights do, don't they?
Yeah. Well, they almost, I feel like the color, the background color kind of ties in with the element more than the knights.
Right.
Green for pentacles,
Mm-hmm.
blue for the cups, right? This fiery orange for the wands, and then like that paler orange for the swords. Yeah, I like that. Beth says, "Oh, we all rebel against being a Virgo at some point." I'm wondering if we're the only sign that does that. Maybe it's because we get such a bad rap.
We do. We get such a bad rap. Whenever you see like memes, I'm always like, oh, what's the meme for Virgo? And then it's something like most boring or most like, I'm like,
Right.
that's not fair.
Or the most like uptight. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Not uptight.
Yeah, it's funny how like I think I rebelled against some of those feelings for a lot of my life, because in some ways I feel like I'm very spontaneous and I have like other, I don't have to plan every little thing out. But then I go, for example, if I go to like Michael's to get some paper for like a project I'm working on, and I pick out pretty papers and I go up to the counter to buy my pretty papers, I have to have a conversation with the cashier and be like, I've already counted these. Can you just take my word? Because if you thumb through them, there's going to be a wrinkle in the corner of each paper, and then I can't buy them. so and I'm like, oh, there's definitely times when my Virgo comes out.
I muted myself because the trash truck is literally right outside. But Gerald has another question. Let's see Kim's comment real quick. I love the various shades of orange. Very active, creative energy about them. Yes, I agree.
You. Thank you. That's awesome.
And Gerald says, do you have a favorite spread you like to use with this deck?
Yes. If you don't mind, I'm just going to pull out my book because I actually wrote a couple quick spreads for them. And I think that they pair well nicely with them. I just need to remind myself what they are. Yeah, so I have one that I like that's called, this is the one I do more often if it's not just a daily card pull for myself. There's one I did that's called Destruction / Creation Spread. And so it's literally just a 2-card pull. Number 1 is what to destroy, and number 2 is what to create. And I feel like that's because there's always that energy that we have where there's things that aren't serving us that need to kind of cycle through and be done. And then there's things that we need to be bringing in that we're not possibly bringing in. So there's that cycle of creation, destruction. I don't know, that kind of fascinates me a little bit. And then I also did one that I called the Fully Assembled Spread, which is a 4-card pull. And it has cards like what needs to be disassembled at this time, what parts need to be discarded, what part needs to be added, and then what will it look like when it's reassembled. So again, that kind of goes with some of the theme of the deck, but I feel like the cards play well with some of those spreads, you know.
As you can hear, I am shuffling. I'm not having any issues. That's the real test is the overhand, and I mean it's clumping a little, but I've definitely had way worse clumping from Rose Petal before. So, the other things I got in my box, I got 2 stickers. Ooh, they're so shiny.
Holographic.
Woo, woo, woo. And so the book is sold separately, but you do get this QR code to download the PDF version of it. I've been meaning to order the book too because I'm very tactile.
Right.
I've never really enjoyed reading electronic books for some reason. Like I need the book in my hands.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have loved to have included the book in the deck, but once I started writing, I just couldn't shut up. And then it became a much bigger book than what could fit like in the box, you know? So
Right.
it kind of became its own little thing. So
Beth is agreeing with Kim. The active, creative energy for all the knights, but the horses at different levels of energy, and the queens so elemental love them.
thank you.
And Gerald says that's a cool 2-card spread.
Thank you.
And Kim is thanking Beth for asking to see the knights and queens. I just shuffled everything. I was thinking about pulling out the aces, but
might be kind of hard now.
I mean, well, of course, I got one ace right there.
There you go.
It shouldn't take too long, right? I'd only shuffled a few times. So it's only going to be partially mixed up. What was the easiest card to work on for you?
The easiest card. Gotta think about that one. I think the easiest card for me was the Queen of Wands. Okay. I always loved the Queen of Wands general vibe, almost in any deck. So that one felt like I could almost picture it before I even started, like what I wanted, you know, the energy to be of that one. That one felt like it was a pretty easy one for me.
Right, like you already knew what you wanted instead of just saying they're trying to play with the image. Right.
Right. I was vibing with it, so.
Almost like it came to you in a vision.
You know, like I think 90% of sometimes ideas are somewhat channeled and kind of come to you in different ways. You know, when things are flowing nicely.
Okay. So let's see. Oops, wrong answer. Digging me again. And here are the aces. So 2 of them have that lighter gray, then the cups is orange, and the pence are green. But I think the Ace of Cups in the RWS does have like that orangey background, doesn't it?
I'm trying to remember. Does it or do they all have that grayish background in RWS?
I think they pretty much all got that gray, don't they?
Yeah.
But I do appreciate that orange just because it makes the other iconic like symbols just kind of like pop. And how there's a hand in every one too, but the hands are at different levels, aren't they?
Yeah, I wanted to definitely make sure because that's such a prevalent feature, the hand that's reaching, that's offering the gift essentially in each of those aces. That's such a prevalent thing. The hands are interesting too. I don't know if you know who Divine Hand Jim is. Are you familiar with him? So I got to meet him at the Tide conference back in May in Dallas. And we kind of nerded out a little bit and talked and stuff. And so there's a couple hand gestures in the deck that if I get a chance to do like a second edition of the book, I'm going to add some more information in there because it's fascinating, the palmistry, because there's the devil does the kind of the almost the, you know, the Spock sign. And then there's the higher,
which is straight from Judaism.
Right. I have a whole thing in my book about that too. Which
I just remember being a kid and being in synagogues and seeing this symbol. Like
right. Oh, they would do both. They would do.
It was 2 hands and the thumbs would be like hooked.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, there was Leonard Nimoy, I guess, brought it to Star Trek from his past with Judaism and from seeing it as a little boy. Again, nerd out. I love that kind of stuff. But yeah, so there's a couple, even though I don't really have humans portrayed too much in the deck, there's a couple of cards that I made sure to have a hand gesture because it seemed really poignant to that card, that the meaning of that
Right.
gesture, each gesture. Let's see.
Beth says here, I've heard so many deck creators say that the first card they created was the Queen of Wands. Interesting that creative muse comes first.
That's interesting. That's really
very interesting.
Yeah.
Talk about nerding out. Thanks,
Yeah,
Beth.
I love that. And that makes sense now that you say that, that it's because she is like a creative muse. That's really cool.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
So Gerald wants to know, which version of the RWS did you use to make sure you captured all the symbols for book?
That's a really good question. I basically was all over the place. So there's not just like one book that I used. I definitely like dabbled in lots of different, research venues, and some different books. There's one that I definitely liked. I want to make sure to give it its proper name. This was definitely one that I went to a lot. The Secrets of the Waite Smith Tarot by Marcus Katz and Tally Goodwin. That definitely had some really interesting deep dives about
that book. That might have to go on my book list.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah. So definitely that had a couple deep dives about a few of the symbols, but I feel like I had to really knit things together, if that makes sense, because I didn't find one source that had everything I wanted in it. So I really tried to go down the wormhole individually with a lot of these symbols. And then sometimes I brought in things that maybe weren't part of the original thinking of those symbols in the original RWS tarot. But to me, they seem like poignant stories to include that brought meaning to those symbols. So if, like in the book, there'll be because each symbol is broken down for each card in the book. And so there's a couple symbols. There's one symbol, I think it's from the Chariot. Is it the winged sun? Yeah, the winged sun, which goes back to Egyptian iconography and stuff. But I think I literally talked for 2 pages about that winged sun. like there's so many, because you get those layers, you start peeling back the layers, and there's like another layer and another layer. And I even went into a whole diatribe about Harry Potter and the what do you call it? The golden snitch. The golden snitch.
Oh yes.
That's essentially the winged sun, as far as, and how that brings more of a modern twist to that symbol.
There it is.
So I don't know if that answers your question, Gerald, but I definitely was kind of all over the place with, I have a couple different versions of the Rider-Waite Smith. I'm not sure exactly what versions they are, if that makes sense. They're definitely traditional to the artwork. They're not any of the ones that kind of have recolored or
right.
they're definitely more the kind of original looking version. But I like that's nice to hear. I appreciate the accuracy and desire to be inclusive. Yeah, I find you have to really dive deep into like multiple sources to kind of get to the root of things sometimes,
That's true for everything, though.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me, Deanne. Yes, the link for the deck in the shop is in the description of the video below. So if you're ready to order, go right ahead. I think I need to go order the book at some point soon.
you order that book. I'll just send you that book. That'll be my little
thank you.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after. I'll just get it to you.
So do you guys have any more questions for Jennifer? I'd love to get some more from you guys. I love the interaction with the audience. Are you thinking of coming up with another edition, or?
Yeah. So I did. I don't know if. Okay. I'm babbling already. I did actually submit this deck to a publisher. I guess I won't name the publisher just because I don't want to. I don't know if that's appropriate.
Right. You don't want to break any NDAs.
Yeah, and they have gotten back to me, and it's a no, which is fine. But they did spend it took them about 6 months of review, and so I was considering looking to see if it had potential to go mass market. Mainly because I'm starting to run out of decks from my Kickstarter run, and I was trying to think, because I would like to see it continue the momentum it seems to have still. And that can be hard as an independent, because I'm trying to decide, do I run another Kickstarter? Do I yeah, so I'm considering some options around that. Like I said, I have this kind of little sister deck I'm working on. So if I do another Kickstarter for the second edition, when I run out of decks of what I have just left at this point, I might do it as like a where you can get either or both kind of thing, and so that there'll be something new if for people who don't want the another edition of the deck, but maybe want the sister deck.
Right.
So that way the Kickstarter maybe has a little bit something new and a new twist to it than just another second edition, I guess.
And that goes into Gerald's next question. When is the next deck coming out?
Great question, Gerald. I don't know. I'm working on it right now. I sometimes I work very slow sometimes. And I think that's where I get really in my head and I really I question, is this something I would use? Is it speaking to like if it's something that I feel passionate about, then I'll create it. But I always kind of really question, does this feel authentic? Does it feel like something that needs to get, I really kind of let it mold.
Sounds like the thoughts I have.
So where I see other deck creators that I admire and love that work so prolifically, so fast. And I'm like, I'm just slow. So I have to really, and now I feel like I'm getting a little stride with this new one, to where once you get that stride and it feels like it's wanting to now get kind of rolling and made, the energy of it might start coming out of me a little faster. But yeah, I definitely, I don't know, my son was home for the summer and I'm going to be honest, I definitely had a pretty demotivated summer as far as actually like creating.
I get it. We went on vacation, so there's vacation happening.
Right. So now that he's back in school, I feel like there's that energy is shifting where I'm like, I have that kind of motivation now to focus a little bit. So yeah, good question. Sorry, I don't have an answer for you.
You don't have an answer yet.
Yeah, don't have an answer yet. Let's see. What is your favorite holiday?
Deanne says yes. What is your favorite holiday, and which card or cards do you feel carry a similar energy to that holiday? Ooh, that's a good question.
Well, my favorite holiday is Halloween. I am not a Christmas person. Nothing against Christmas. I just, I don't get real excited when we have that slump. I don't like winter. So I don't like winter and I don't love Christmas. It's not my season. I don't like that it's dark at 4:30. I'm going on a whole diatribe, but yes, Halloween.
We're end of summer babies. That's why.
That's right. Halloween's my vibe. Which card do you feel? I feel like that Queen of Wands again. I don't know. It's got the little black cat. It's got that fiery, I don't know. There's definitely a good witchy vibe to the Queen of Wands. That feels kind of good and kind of Halloween-y. I don't know. There's the one, the Three of Cups has the pumpkin.
I was about to say Three of Cups really makes me think of Halloween too.
It definitely has that kind of autumn feel to it too. But I love that black cat and that Queen of Wands vibe. That's a cool question. I like that question.
Beth wants to know, what was your first spark for this deck idea? We did cover it at the beginning, Beth, but if Jennifer feels like answering again.
Sure. No, I'll just kind of give the quickie version. But yeah, so my son was kind of my inspiration. He's 11 now, but has always been a deconstructor. He basically takes everything apart to learn. And I'm not a very mechanical, like if there's something I have to build like IKEA furniture or something, it's already, I'm going to have to enlist somebody else because I have no patience to follow like a manual and put things together. But my son can do both. My son from a young age, he creates and builds and puts things together, but he also tears things apart. We had little toy cars that at one point he would somehow get these things pried open to where there's like a little plastic engine and a little plastic wheel. And like he would somehow literally take things apart when he was like 4. So long story short, he was my inspiration of that kind of concept of how you take things apart, but learn from that, how you learn when you disassemble. So
yes,
nice part. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Gerald has another question. Other than your own, do you have a favorite deck you like to use, and do you pair it with the Tarot Disassembled?
That's a great question. My deck favorites are constantly shifting because I have too many decks. Right? I mean, I'm sure we're all probably there, but right now,
most of us in this chat have quite the plethora of decks.
Right. Right now, my favorite deck is completely different than the vibe of my deck. It's called I have it downstairs in my bedroom where I pull it out. I think it's called Tarot of the Cosmic Seed. If you want to look up on Instagram, the creator is amazing. It's the.cosmic seed, I believe, is the handle. I think that's it. But it's a more of a collage style, but just beautifully done collage style. I'm kind of a sucker for good collage style anyway, but like this one is, I don't know, it just draws me in the best ways.
It's funny how some decks just like pull you in.
Yeah, definitely. So that's my favorite right now. And I don't really pair it with Tarot Disassembled a lot because it has a completely different vibe. But if anything, I tend to pair tarot with oracles more. Like I kind of like to do the whole, maybe throw a tarot card and an oracle card into one position in a spread for each position.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any that play the best with Tarot Disassembled. I don't know. I have so many decks right now. I don't know. I don't know what all I've got up there right now. I've really been enjoying playing too with I got these great casting charms. So they're a little charm, like the whole, there's like 100 little tiny charms. And I really like trying to draw blindly and throw one on each position with a card. And then it's crazy if you get a symbol and a charm that's actually like on the
card that it lands on.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's so funny because I recently got put together my own little charm set.
Did
you? I backed it's Carrie Paris and
the Ofrenda Oracle.
The Ofrenda Oracle, yes, they backed that. I'm so looking forward to that one.
That's where my charms came from, was Carrie Paris from the conference.
I love her charms. Yeah.
Yes. They're so fun to work with.
I won a cloth from her on Instagram, and it wasn't just a cloth; it came with like a handful of charms too.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. Yeah, the set that I got, it's like gotta have like 100 different little charms in there. It's wild. It's so good.
Her sets are amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been wanting to get a set, but now that we're getting a set with the Ofrenda Oracle, I'm like, I don't really feel like I need to buy a separate set.
Right.
Oh, and Deanne says, I think Tarot Disassembled would be great for casting. It's the first thing I thought when I saw it.
Yeah, I love that.
Where did you get the collection of charms?
So I got them. Let's see. There were. I don't know if so they're by Carrie Paris.
Yeah, she was selling them through her Etsy store for a while.
Yeah, she was selling a small batch of them at the Tide conference. I mean, look at this. There's like literally like hundreds of little. I love it. There's so much stuff in here.
That's so cool.
So yeah, I got it at the Tide conference. I don't know. She might have them if you look up her website. She might have some for sale.
I think it might be on her website that she has those, but I know that she has them on her Etsy store as well for a little while.
Yeah.
But I don't know if she has any left. I know she was starting to sell out. I haven't checked in a while, so I'm not sure.
I think I know that was back in May, so she might have replenished, but people went.
Like I said, summer I've been totally checked out. So
yeah.
Well, for me, you talking about how the Fool was your first card and the Fool's always your favorite card. Yeah, brought the image of this. So there's another indie deck, the Cosmic Visions Tarot, and it's when I saw this Fool, I gasped. So.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Right?
Oh, that is so cool. I just
loved it. This is one of my decks that I just absolutely adore.
Oh, wow. That's Cosmic Visions?
It is so beautiful. Yeah, Cosmic Visions. It's an indie deck out of Australia. Mother of Wands.
I've seen some of this. Yeah.
No.
Oh,
I was using it for a while for readings just because it's like. Speaking of Gerald, this deck triggers my channeling quite a lot. Like when I'm using this deck, things are popping out of my mouth that I'm like, why did I just say that? And every time it's like exactly what the person needs to hear. So
that's so cool. What's your favorite card? Do you have a favorite card, or does it vary each deck?
I don't have a favorite. I don't think there are certain ones I always look for when I'm getting a deck.
Mm-hmm.
And they're always, personal for me because,
Sure.
I always look for the Hermit, being a Virgo.
Yep.
I always look at the High Priestess because that's my soul card.
Mm-hmm.
I always look for at the Nine of Pentacles, looking for a snail.
Love that.
Trying to think. I mean, there's certain cards I always look for, like the Eight of Wands. I always look for it. Like the Eight of Wands in this deck is amazing because the Eight Wands is like a hand mirror that she's looking into.
Ooh.
And in the mirror, she's like, you see her own hands covering her eyes, and it's all black and white. But from the back, you see that her hair is a rainbow and she's full of color, but her reflection is black and white.
Oh, that's deep. I like that.
It's this is like.
Yeah, that's gonna have to go on my list. Thanks a lot. Now I have to go buy more decks. No, just
that's the trouble with these interviews. We always end up going, "Oh, I don't have that. I need to get it.
I need that now. I need it."
Beth says, "Has anyone ever told you look like Jessica Biel? Because you do."
Oh, I will take that as a compliment. Thank you. I don't know that I've gotten that. I've gotten. I used to get back in the day, especially when I had red hair. The girl from that '70s show.
Oh yeah.
But no, I've never gotten Jessica Biel. I will take that. Thank you. I love it.
So Deanne checked Carrie's website. She didn't see charms, but maybe her Etsy shop has it.
Yeah, maybe.
And Deanne got her main charm set from Tea with Karen. Is that an Etsy shop, Deanne? Just wondering. And she put up, of course, Carrie's main shop.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine if she doesn't have them, she'll definitely replenish eventually. But I know they're working on that Ofrenda Oracle. So
right. The Ofrenda is probably taking up all of her time right now.
Yeah, definitely.
And yes, it is very interesting. I wasn't expecting it when I started using that deck. And then I realized that if I want to channel, I just need to use that deck.
That's cool.
The blind boy wants it back in now.
That's your blind one. Oh,
my little blind kitten.
Oh.
He's only like 2 years old too, so it's even sadder that now he's blind.
He's got a good home though. It's amazing.
I know. Just a minute. You can stay for a little bit. I'll come get you. Oh my God. He's just gonna start screaming. He definitely has that trait of Siamese kitties. He's a big cat too, like twice the size of a regular cat. He's like 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Siamese can get big too, and yeah, they like to talk.
Oh, he is a major talker. Like there's times I'm just like, shut up.
Just be quiet.
So Deanne says, yes, Tea with Karen is a YouTube channel and an Etsy shop. Good to know. Tea with Karen, I don't think I've ever seen her channel. There's so many channels out there. It's hard to keep up with them.
Right.
Oh, hi, April. April says, you have amazing eyes. I can imagine you looking great with red hair.
April, did you and I just become besties? Thank you. That's a very nice compliment. Yeah, I've had red. I used to have like some crazy colors, like some blues and some. I had
hair down to my shoulder that was a dark green, so dark that everyone thought it was black until the light hit it.
Oh, like a foresty green almost. Oh, that sounds cool.
It was manic panic alpine green.
Oh,
that was back in the 90s. So. Okay. April is asking that I go get him to show everybody.
Yay, I want to see the kitty.
Mom. Nah, buddy. Come here. Come here, buddy. All right. Coming in. Here, buddy. Everyone wants to meet you. Yeah, everyone wants to meet you, buddy. So just a trigger warning for anyone who can't handle a cat who's missing an eye.
Oh, look at his coloring. He's so pretty.
Here's my little mom. I know. You don't want to be held like this. You're okay.
He's beautiful.
My buddy. Oh, I know.
He's so pretty.
He's
I just love the story you were telling me about him. I think that's amazing. He's alive.
Oh, there were several times we thought that he was not going to make it. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Maul is a new addition to the family. My husband is a veterinarian and saved his life after his head was run over by a car. He lost an eye. He's blind in the other eye. His jaw was shattered, basically. And he had a feeding tube in his neck. For the first 2 months, we weren't sure he was even going to make it. But he's eating fine. He's drinking fine. He's using the potty okay. And other than being blind, he just seems like a normal cat now.
I feel like animals really are even more adaptive than humans in that sense too. Like, as long as he's got love and care and he's going to be fine, even though he's blind. I mean, I don't mean to gloss over, but I just feel like animals tend to be even more resilient than we are in that sense.
Right. Well, it's like at first he wasn't really moving around the house much, but once he started getting like a mental map of where things were, now he just charges around, jumps up on furniture. And of course, he jumps up on furniture and then it's like, how do I get down? And he starts meowing. I have to go rescue him. What are you doing, buddy? And the other thing is he walks in circles to like try and figure out where he is.
Right. Oh, he's beautiful.
Yes, he's definitely like a little cougar. He's so cool. All of our animals are rescues. Our first cat, Kiana, like I was telling you, was brought into Frank's work with a laceration across her face.
Yeah.
And she was so young, she still had to be bottle fed after her face got stitched up.
Oh.
Once she was weaned off the bottle, we ended up keeping her. And then our dog was like, our neighbor texted saying that a friend of hers was having to give up her dog, was literally on the way to the pound, and the neighbor made her friend turn around to come here and drop the dog off with us for fostering. That fostering didn't last very long before she was just ours.
Right. She grew on you.
Oh, totally. I've picked her up and shown her on my lives before. Oh, hi, buddy. What are you doing, dude? What? I know you want your second breakfast, don't you?
I want a second breakfast.
He doesn't eat full meals. He just snacks.
Uh-huh.
He takes like a few mouthfuls and then he's done. And then a few hours later, he's like, I want more food. And then he takes a few mouthfuls and then he's done. And then a few hours later, it's like this constant all day long thing. Because the other animals will eat his food out from under him if I don't like, keep an eye on it.
So he just grazes probably to make sure he gets what he needs. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I hear him.
11 these. I love it. And Beth says, I could never foster. I'd have a menagerie.
I've been trying to work
on a veterinarian for husbands.
Yeah. I've been trying to push my husband to let us foster. He's like, we would be foster fails every time. I'm like, no. If we get like a litter of puppies, we can't keep all of them. So if you
just keep one.
Right? Yeah, if you foster a litter, there's no way we're gonna like be a fail for the whole litter.
Right. Hi, buddy. What are you doing? Are you coming? Oh, careful, dude.
He's got beautiful coloring.
What are you doing? What? Hi. Yes, you're showing everyone your butt.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Come here.
My butt.
I know. Oh my God, look how big he is.
He's a big one, yeah.
Come here now. I know you want your food. Just give me a minute. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody, and then I'll get you some food, okay? Okay? No, don't try and bite me. He gets cranky if he doesn't get listened to right away. Thank you, everyone, for coming to this amazing chat. And Gerald would like to know the best way to contact you for a future deck casual about the deck.
Yeah, Gerald, feel free to reach out on Instagram. I know I follow you on Instagram, and I think it's Ferocious Ink. And maybe just DM me if you want there. That might be the easiest. But yeah, I'd love that. That'd be a lot of fun.
That would be amazing. Yeah. I love his deck chat. It's really so great. Oh, and April says, I've successfully fostered Beth. I used to take the litter of wild kittens that our shelter got every year.
Oh,
And off they would go.
that's awesome. Yeah, my husband is legally blind. So I think that's his biggest concern is he's going to like, if we have like a dog and 2 cats, but if we have like, 8 little animals running around, he might step on one. It's his concern. I'm like, it'd be fine. You'd figure it out. You just walk slow. You'd be fine.
Now he's behind me on the chair, pushing on me.
He's ready for his second breakfast. Yeah.
What are you doing, little dude? You're okay. Thank you, everyone. I will see you next week. And yes, here is. Oh, you found your ball.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I forgot to put that in the description. I was so focused on putting the Etsy shop in, I forgot to put your Instagram.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun talking with all you guys.
Thank you, Deanne, for that. And thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you.
Until next time, aloha.
Bye.